African leaders have listened to the call of Julius Malema when he called for the borderless Africa without visa.
Let me say this. As Kenya, by the end of this year, no African will be required to have a visa to come to Kenya.
Was that all? No. There were also someone else.
Let there be no mistake about it. Any African can get on a plane to Rwanda whenever they wish, and you will not pay a thing to enter our country.
Was Julius Malema right when he called for the unity of Africa and asked for Africans to be traveling around the African continent without visa?
This continent of Africa must be one. I hear you saying, he says, the borders must be open. The borders must be open. Because borders are opened for white people. When there is a white person from Mozambique who can't even speak English, you welcome them. When there is a brother from Mozambique into Nelspruit, you call them names. Yet you don't call white people names. There is no Mozambique here. There is no Swaziland here. There is no Lesotho here. There is no Botswana here. Zambia or Namibia. There is no Zimbabwe. There is Africa, the continent of our ancestors. We were divided by the colonizers.
Julius Malema is one of the Pan-Africans who've been calling for the unity of Africa, who've been asking for Africa countries to not have border. The man wanted Africa to be borderless because he believed that these borders, they were imposed by the colonists. At first, this message was just like a joke, no one take it serious. But because of his consistency, today we are now seeing on how African leaders, they are all embracing this message and make it become a reality to African people. After DRC and Kenya had decided to live a life of visa-free for their citizens, this time the President Ruto of Kenya decided to even make it more official for each and every African to not pay even a cent in order for them to come in Kenya. The man passed this message when he was addressing Africa Forum, saying that by the end of this year, each and every Africa won't need a visa in order for you to visit Kenya.
We have visa regulations left, right, and center. 27 countries in Europe today, with 430 million people, removed visas. We still have visas. Let me persuade us that it is time we in this continent realize that having visa restrictions amongst ourselves is working against us. When people cannot travel, business people cannot travel, entrepreneurs cannot travel, we all become net losers. I am very happy that we are now moving in the direction of eliminating visas amongst ourselves. Let me say this. As Kenya, by the end of this year, no African will be required to have a visa to come to Kenya. And I am very proud that the intra-trade within the East African community is already at 27% because we have taken the deliberate decision to remove unnecessary tariffs and visa regulations. I am also very happy that my father here, President Sassou Nguesso, when he came to Kenya, we agreed that there will be no visa requirement between the between Kenya and the Democratic Republic of Congo Brazzaville. I am also happy that last month, when we removed visa requirements for DRC, my brother, President Felix Tshisekedi, also removed visa requirements for Kenya to DRC. Let me urge us that we need greater collaboration. Our children from this continent should not be locked in borders in Europe and also be locked in borders in Africa.
Listening to this man talking very well, you will see that the man is actually confirming with more details on what the president of EFF, Julius Malema, has been saying for many years ago. The things that many people in Africa, they never take him serious. Some people think that Julius Malema was just barking like a barking dog. But President Ruto have to come and give these details. For an example, when he says that 27 countries in Europe, they are walking, entering each other's borders without asking anything. They have what they call Schengen visas. These visas, you can go anywhere in Europe, no one will come and distract you. You will do whatever you want to do. They consider themselves as the Europeans who does not need a visa in order for them to visit another country, because they want to grow their economy, because they want to grow up their relationship. And guess how many are they? We are talking about 430 millions all in total. Those countries, they allow themselves to walk more freely within their borders. That is not the case in Africa. And this is what Julius Malema has been saying every time, that the borders that we're having in Africa, it was imposed by the West, who came in Africa. In order for them to loot Africa properly, they had to come and divide Africans. Since Africa, it was described to them as that beautiful cake that people get to share in their wedding, in their birthday or marriage anniversary. They had to come and share it. So that is the reason why you find France having about 33 countries to themselves. You are having UK, they have also their own countries there. Recently, we even saw the king of UK went all the way to Kenya, trying to pretend like he's regretting of what had happened, instead of giving his proper apology to what they have done in that country. And I mean, guys, let's just leave that for now. It does not even make sense for us to even be discussing about him. But guys, the border that we had, it was all imposed Africans. And remember, they always said that it's good to divide, because where there is a division, there won't be peace, there won't be development, there won't be happiness, because unity of Africans, it is a big weapon that can destroy the West with their strategies. It is a weapon that will change this world just in a second. So they know already that if the Africans get to be united, they're not going to be able to succeed with whatsoever they've been doing in Africa. So listening to President Ruto, the way he sounded, the way he put it, everything's like explaining. Actually, for me, I believe we deserve to give credit to someone such as Julius Malema, Prof. Lumumba, and many more Pan-Africans who've been campaigning about this unity of Africa, who've been calling for Africans to have one monetary, to have one army, to have at least even one president, to have one official language. So these people, they deserve to be credited, because their message have reached to many millions of Africans out there. Africans that are now speaking one language by calling the unity of Africa. And for the fact that Africans are speaking one language, that is the reason why we are seeing some of African leaders that are coming forward and making this a fact, making this happen as we've been dreaming for the unity of Africa. President Ruto went far, calling the African leaders to at least speed up with this project, because this, as I said at the beginning of this video, it is something that they know about it. It's something that they know that Africa continent, we need it, but they never want to apply it. Do you know why? Because we're having some African leaders with their citizens who don't believe in this kind of things. For them, they believe that no, if we open our borders, these people, they'll walk in, they'll take our job, they'll do that, they'll do this, they'll do that. Each and every country, in order for them to grow up their economy, they need to make sure that there is a circulation of merchandise, there is a circulation of people going in and out. And if that can happen for Africa, I'm telling you, Africa continent will develop even more quick, because you can sleep and wake up and decide to go maybe to Uganda. You go over there, you buy those plant banana, you come with it and sell it maybe in Zimbabwe. Tomorrow, you decide to go somewhere in Tunisia. You go there, you find out what they need, you bring them some merchandise. So we'll have a lot of businessmen and women, and that is how we'll become even more millionaires, because the moment we are only seated within our countries, within our borders, and we don't travel, or if we are having a difficult moment in order for us to travel, it's gonna affect us in one way or another way. So these are the things that each and every Africans need at least to pay attention and to think about it. President of Kenya have done his part. He kind of like, okay, I can't sit here, keep on waiting for other African leaders to think or to decide on how they want to do things. As for me, I don't have problem with my fellow African brothers and sisters. Therefore, I'm going to open the borders for them. If they feel like they don't want to allow me to come to their countries, it is okay. But me, I just want to show them that no, they are welcome in my country. And he opened the borders for his country, because they will have to do the same thing. They have also to open their borders to allow people of Kenya to go in also in their countries. Was that all? No. There were also someone else. And this time we're talking about the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, who came also to make this announcement.
Globally, the travel and tourism industry has recovered strongly, but the high cost of air travel to Africa and within Africa remains a barrier. Implementation of the single African air transport market is therefore an important priority. We also removed visa restrictions for citizens of every African country, as well as many other countries. Let there be no mistake about it. Any African can get on a plane to Rwanda whenever they wish, and will not pay a thing to enter our country. We should not lose sight of our own continental market. Africans are the future of global tourism as our middle class continues to grow at a fast pace in the decades to come. We must work closely together with partners like you to continue developing Africa into a premier destination for global travel.
That is President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, who had to come and tell Africans that from now on, you are all welcome in my country. It's a problem of thinking. That is how you grow up your economy in your country. Not these things of you trying to close your borders, trying to put your African brothers and sisters uncomfortable because they are in your countries. You see Rwanda that you guys were seeing. They have already marked their history in the world. You guys, we even saw some of the big football teams such as the Paris Saint-Germain, Tottenham, Arsenal, all of them, they are advertising in behalf of Rwanda, saying that visit Rwanda. And the whole world knows exactly of what had happened in Rwanda. They had marketed themselves out there in the world. And as we are talking right now, Rwanda is among the countries which are having a lot of tourists in Africa. All because they have tried to have a proper way to negotiate with people who have to come and visit Rwanda. And now that they decide to open the borders for each and every African, guys, what is all this mean is to say that from now on, if you want to visit Rwanda or Kenya, you will just take your passport, which identify you from which country you are coming from. And then you can travel to these countries. Once you are at their immigrations, they will just stamp you in without asking you what you have to pay for visa. No one will ask you visa. They'll just give you time for you to go in, do your business or do your visit, and then after then you can decide to go back to your country. But at the same time, if you decide to live in one of these countries, that's where now things will change for you, because there will be a certain requirement to which you'll have to fill in. So after listening to the president of Kenya, President Ruto, and listening to Paul Kagame, who's the president of Rwanda, guys, was Julius Malema right when he called for the unity of Africa? Was Julius Malema right when he called for Africans to be borderless, because borders is not what was made for Africans? In order for us to understand whether Julius Malema was right or not, I want to take you back about 5 years ago when Julius Malema started this campaign of calling for the borderless of Africa.
This continent of Africa must be one. I hear you saying, he says, the borders must be open. The borders must be opened. Because borders are opened for white people. When there is a white person from Mozambique who can't even speak English, you welcome them. When there is a brother from Mozambique into Nelspruit, you call them names, yet you don't call white people names. There is no Mozambique here. There is no Swaziland here. There is no Lesotho here. There is no Botswana here. Zambia or Namibia. There is no Zimbabwe. There is Africa, the continent of our ancestors. We were divided. We were divided by the colonizers. You say, I don't want colonialism. We want decolonization. Yet you are supporting colonial borders in Africa. We don't want anything that looks like colonialism. We want to be one thing with our sisters in Tanzania, in Nigeria, in Egypt, in DRC, in Sudan, in South Sudan, everywhere else in Africa. We don't want passport, we don't want visa, we must move free of charge. We are one thing. This continent is one. I am a Zimbabwean, I am a Nigerian, I am a Tanzanian, because African brothers everywhere where we are victims of racism and colonialism. They don't care whether you come from Mozambique or South Africa. You are black, they hate you. The best we can do, solidarity amongst Africans. Let us hold each other's hands. Let us protect each other against colonialism. I saw a video of some police harassing a Nigerian in Santin. I want to say to my Nigerian brothers and sisters, those police do not represent us, and they do not represent the South African police services. Those police, they must be dealt with, they must be disciplined for harassing a person simply because this person is a Nigerian.
When Julius Malema started this campaign of borderless Africa, calling for the unity of Africans, guys, I just want to refresh your mind in case if you forgot or maybe you were not aware. So during that time, there were what we call xenophobia in South Africa, where you find fellow South Africans killing and destroying some of our African brothers. When you ask what was the reasons, they will tell you that no, there is a lot of reasons. These people are involved in crimes, these people are involved in drug dealings, these people are involved in so on and so on. So this was a very good opportunity for most of politicians back then who had to come in and try to buy votes from people, because they have to come with the language which had hatred within it in order for them to revolt even fellow South Africans, so that they'll go ahead and hate our fellow brothers. And I remember a lot of our politicians, they made their name during that time because they had to come and pretend like no, whatsoever was happening was a good thing. But there were only one person who had the courage to come out and try to think otherwise. Try to make South African understand that these are not our enemies. These Africans, brothers and sisters who are found within our borders, are not our enemies. We are killing each other for nothing. We are hating ourselves for nothing. Normally, we're supposed to be people who are supposed to be united. We're supposed not to be having these borders. These borders, they were imposed on Africans. There is no any way in the history whereby African leaders had seated down and agreed to share borders. But it was something which the West have to come and divide Africa continent, all because they were fighting over Africa minerals. So each and every West country, they had to come and have their share. They want to have their own portion of Africa countries, which they'll have to control in order for them to continue looting Africa minerals. That is how they managed to build Europe. That is how they managed to build America. That is how they managed to be even most powerful economies countries in the world. They managed to develop their countries. What about Africa with Africans? They never try anything to help Africans. They never even develop Africans countries. Africa countries, they never do anything that people of Africa will feel even more proud of them, saying that, okay, fine, we were colonized by these people. After they leave our country, this is what they have done for us, or this is what our country have become, or this is how our economy have become stronger, all thanks to our colonizer, because they have managed to help us grow our economy. That is not the case. Africans, they don't have anything good to say about the West or all the colonial that they had back in days. We don't have anything good to say about these people. Do you know why? Because these people, they wanted to destroy Africa from day one, and they're still trying to destroy Africa until when Africa will start standing in the way that we just see with President Ruto and Paul Kagame trying to show other Africans what they're supposed to be doing long time ago. This Western power, they came in Africa, they colonized Africa, they loot Africa. After centuries of years, they decided to leave Africa. That was only leaving Africa physically, but not economically. So what they've been doing, they continue looting Africa from far because they were getting to influence themselves in Africa business, in Africa countries, politics. They had to choose who have to become the president of that country, who have to be the CEO of the government facilities or minings. They had to choose who have to take the tenders. So they were doing all these things because they know that they will not gonna survive without the help of Africa. They will never gonna survive without Africa minerals. And that is the truth. So that is the reason why they are so happy whenever Africans were fighting. They are so happy whenever Africans were having conflict. They are so happy whenever Africans were busy killing each other, were busy hating each other, were busy calling each other names. Because they want us to be divided. Because they want us to having serious problem in order for us to travel to another Africa country. Our divisions is something that they're enjoying the most. They know that the moment Africa will be united, because they know that the moment when Africa will remain borderless, all the business they have in Africa will perish. All the activities, all the corruption that they do in Africa will disappear just like this. So guys, Whether we like it or not, Julius Malema deserves to be given a credit. He deserves it because of his consistency, because of his courage that motivates each and every Africa to understand that we can do this. If we don't do it, there is no one else who can do it in our behalf. So we are inviting now each and every African leaders who have not taken this kind of move. We are motivating them, asking them to do it. We want Nigeria to open the border. Nigeria, yes, they must open their borders. Everyone must be free to go in Nigeria and come out. Nigerians, special Nigerians, I insist Nigerians, I call their names more than 3 times. Do you know why? Because Nigerians, they are everywhere in Africa. Everywhere in the world, you find Nigerians. So, them, especially them, the government of Nigeria, they must also open the border for every Africans to feel free to go also to Nigeria. So, let this message reach to many people out there, and all African leaders, they should open their borders, because that is how we'll be able to grow up our economy. That is how we'll be able to develop Africa. Because remember, if Nigeria, they open their borders, Ethiopia open their borders, Malawi, they open their borders, Zambia, DRC, all these countries all over Africa, we open their borders. Once we do this, the next things, South Africa will be like, okay, fine, we'll start now signing the deal on how to build the rails all over Africa. For an example, South Africa will say that, okay, we want to build a rail which will go all the way to Nigeria, from Nigeria to Burkina Faso, from Burkina Faso to Mali. And Kenya is like, no, we already have a rail which comes from Ethiopia. What about if we cross it within the two Congo Brazzaville and Congo Kinshasa? They link them. Congo Kinshasa also is like, no, what about if we take it to Zambia? Zambia is like, no, what about if we take it to Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe, South Africa. Then you see already that all the merchandise will be having an easy way to travel around Africa. You'll buy your tomato from Rwanda and go and sell it somewhere else, maybe somewhere in Algeria. Then you buy some chapati from Algeria, you bring it all the way to Egypt. So you see that merchandise walk around. People will have more job, because there will be more job which will be created. So if we think in that way and stop thinking in this kind of way, like, no, I'm a queer, if they're here, they do that, they'll do. No, man, that is not how we develop things. We must be able to have a vision, to understand on how things are supposed to be happening, instead of us sitting here and discussing who's supporting who and who does what and who's who in this country. No, let us think, try to develop and see on how things are working. If you have, for an example, a problem like, no, you are having our fellow African brothers who are seated in your country and they are not respecting the law, that is the reason why we're having law enforcement, isn't it? You fight corruption, so you put the right person as a police chairperson, you put the right person for the military positions, and they go on the street and they'll try to fight all these crimes. Instead of us sitting here and wasting time that, no, they're here, they're taking our jobs, they're here, they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. No, guys. So the message which these leaders have given, it is a message that needs to be considered by each and every Africans around the world. That is how we'll get to develop our beautiful continent. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please do me a favor before you leave. Make sure that you give me your thumbs up. I'll really do appreciate. It is a way of you also showing your appreciation to what you are doing. And if you have anything or any corrections about something that we say, maybe you do not agree with us, or maybe you want to correct us, or maybe you have a topic that you want to suggest for us to talk in our next video, well, feel free to drop it down in the comment section so that we'll have a look on it and we'll get back again to you in our next video. But if this is your first time to watch our videos and you find anything special in this video that will make you want to watch even more our video next time, well, you just have to subscribe to our channel and click to our bell button so that whenever we upload a new video, you don't have to miss it. But for now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon in our next video. Ciao, ciao.